everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my laser. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to use a Wecreat Vision 20 watt laser to make a really fun Santa board. We're going to be using a bamboo board that I got from Walmart, but you can really use any kind of wood or board that you want to for this. And what's really great is that these are going to be food safe, but I'm also going to link below the products I use that I seal these with so that they are good and long lasting and they're going to last you a lifetime. So be sure to check those out as well. Before we get started, be sure that you're subscribed here. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. And be sure to check out the links down below for everything that we used in this video, plus a coupon code to use if you want to get yourself your very own Wecreat laser. You can get a 20 watt, you can get a 40 watt. They also have a 10 watt that is new. So be sure to check those out down below. Let's go ahead and get started. To make our Santa tray design, we're going to use this little SVG that we found at creativefabrica.com. I will link it down below for you. I think it's really cute. I saw a lot of signs that said Rudolph's carrot, and that seems rude to the other reindeer. So I wanted to make sure mine said carrots for the reindeer. So all we have to do is click download, and it's going to open up a folder and ask us where we want to save it. Now for this, I'm actually going to save this into a folder that I titled Glowforge, but I just use that for all my laser files. And I'm going to click save. Now we do need to make sure that we, in fact, extract our folders so we have access to our files. All we have to do is click extract all and then simply click extract. Now we have access to our files, and you can close this extracted folder here, and you want to make sure that you keep this one open that has our files that we can access. Now we're going to go over into the Wecreat software so that we can get ready to engrave this. Now I don't have my laser on. I prefer to start with it off. It is a little bit loud for you guys, so I do try to do a lot of work before I turn it on, and then when we turn it on, we can kind of get everything lined up, size, all that. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to drag and drop my file into my software. I'm going to be using the SVG, which for me shows as a Microsoft Edge document. You want to just drag it. You want to just drag it and drop it into the Wecreat software. Now here you'll see that we have the file, and it is a lot of different layers, which can be, number one, kind of annoying because the laser will actually engrave each image kind of by itself. It'll go all over your board. It's not going to do it in a way that makes the most sense. So there are some ways that you can work to fix this. In the software, you can actually merge your graphic shapes, and it should make it all one single layer. And by doing that, it's hopefully going to allow our laser to actually just follow along the entire design without bouncing around. Now we're using a tray that is 11 by 14, so we're using a pretty big tray for this. So I want to make sure that I make my image big enough that it's going to fit. Now I pre-size a little bit, and then I kind of play around with it after I put the tray into the laser. But this way I can kind of get an idea of how big it's going to be, what it's going to look like, and you can kind of see how your scaling's going over here. Now, one thing I'm going to mention to you is if you're unhappy and you've just kind of moved stuff around, you can undo this really quick. And one way that I like to scale is I'm going to use the actual numbers up here. I'm going to click this lock button. And like I said, my tray is 11 by 14, so it's 14 inches wide. So let's see how big it will be if I make it 12 inches wide. So it's pretty good size. I mean, it's a pretty big tray. One thing we also want to keep in mind is our tray does have some rounded edges on it, so it's not a perfect square. It's kind of a rectangle with the rounded corners. Now you can see that that's 12 inches wide, makes it about 6.7 inches tall, which is a little bit small, but I think it'll be okay. We'll be able to see better once we put the tray in, and we can play with our sizing quite a bit more. Now I need to connect my laser via USB. I find that the Wi-Fi connection is not great for my house, and that may be true for you as well. If you're having some connection issues, it's running a little bit funny, or maybe it's stopping in the middle of some of your designs, I would highly recommend that you go ahead and just connect via the USB cable. I just find for me this works a lot better. Now I'm going to go ahead and move my computer over so that we can get connected to the USB. That way we can get everything ready to go, ready to engrave, and show you how this works. Now keep in mind that this is going to be a long process, so you'll want to take your time. You'll want to make sure that you kind of give yourself some time to sit with your computer and let it do its work. Now, let's say that you want to work with your SVG outside of Wecreat so that you can make it all one single piece. You can do that here in Inkscape for completely free. I'm going to drag and drop that SVG into my Inkscape file. Once I've downloaded that into my Inkscape, you're going to see it's pretty small. It's hard to see. You can zoom in onto it and work with it from here. But what you'll notice is, again, it's going to be a lot of different layers. And I know you can't tell that right now, but if you double click on it, you can see that you can actually click on every single letter individually. I'm going to go to path. I'm going to change from path to, I'm going to go object to path. I want to go to object, ungroup, and then path and union. That's going to make our design one single piece, which again should allow the software on our Wecreat to go at it in a straight line. But another thing I want to point out, and why I prefer to do it here in our Inkscape, I'm going to make this bigger and I'm going to zoom in on this so that you can see. You'll notice right here where these O's are, there's no like empty space, but I'm going to show you what it looks like over on the Wecreat software. Over in our Wecreat software, if I zoom in on this, do you see where we have some empty holes? For whatever reason, the software just cannot compute that information, and so it will leave empty holes, and it's got that in a couple places. I do like to use Inkscape to fix that more often than not. So I'm going to delete this file and I'm going to save the Inkscape file and then use that one instead. That way we don't have those blank spaces. So over in Inkscape, I'm just going to go ahead and save this file. That way, again, we don't have those spaces. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. It doesn't totally matter. I'm going to click File. I'm going to click Save As. And I'm going to save it into that folder. That way everything's kind of kept together. So again, I'm going to go to the Glowforge folder and then I'm going to find the Santa tray. And I'm going to save this one as a fixed merge. That way I kind of know which one it is and click save. We're going to put that file in instead. Back in our Wecreat software, I'm just going to go ahead and drag and drop the new file. This is no different than how we did the old one, so we're just going to drag it and drop it. And this one will have none of those empty holes in it, which I think is such a great difference. Now from here, I'm going to go ahead and again, I can play with my sizing, get everything the way I want it. I'm going to go ahead and lock that, make sure it's, you know, kind of where I want it. Now, again, I'm going to go ahead and get this moved over towards my laser. That way we can go ahead and get this ready to engrave. And I'll show you how to set your settings as well. Loaded the cutting board into the laser. We're using the 20-watt Vision for this. So like I said, I want to resize this and I do want this to take up a lot of this board. So I'm just going to make this as big as I can without it going like too crazy. And I think that that looks good. Now, I do want to put a name down here. So what I'm going to do is kind of move this up just a little, and I want to add some text, which is really easy to do. You can just go to text here in the software, and you just click on the text and then click anywhere on your screen to add it. Then I'm just going to change what this says. So it's going to be from the Blackstones. And all I want to do now is grab the text, change whatever, like, you know, font I want. And you can go right here under font, and then you can change it to anything, which includes fonts that are on your computer. So you can use your system fonts for this. So I like to use my system fonts most of the time. I find a lot of softwares just don't have a lot to choose from. So I do like using system fonts. You can choose any font that you want. So just use one that makes you happy. I'm going to use this one here. It is a cursive font, so I do want to make sure that I weld this design because I don't want any of those like lines to show. So I'm going to go ahead and click weld, and you'll notice that now they're all connected. The other thing that I want to do is I want to change it to fill engrave because I do want it to be a full design. Now from here, I kind of can put it wherever I want. I can resize it. I can do all of that, but I do want it to be pretty big. So I am going to try to take up quite a bit of the bottom here. And I think that that's really going to even out our design. Now you can change the color on this to anything you want. I'm just going to change to black so I can get kind of a good look at, how it looks. And I think that looks pretty centered. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now, again, what you can do is select both of these items and you can actually merge them. That way you can make sure that they're all kind of in one spot, one piece. Sometimes it just makes it easier. And typically it'll mean that your engraving will all go in a full line. Doesn't always work that way, but sometimes it will. Once that is done, we are going to go ahead and choose our material. So under where it says material, I'm going to select this. Now they give you a ton of different options. We are using wood, and what we're using is a bamboo board. So I do find that you kind of need to play with it a little bit to get the right settings. So I would recommend doing some like test kind of arrays on them, test like shapes, just to see which one's going to come out best for you and what you're using. I find that just using the basswood works really well. And then this is a pretty thick material, so I am going to choose 5mm, even though it's way thicker than that. But that should be just fine. And then you can kind of see here, it tells you, kind of what colors it'll give you based on your settings. So your speeds and then your power. But again, I would recommend kind of doing this as a test. What you want to do is you want to click autofocus. And it's going to move the laser around, and the laser is going to look for your material. That way it knows exactly where it's going. It knows how thick your material is and all of that. So that way it won't like bump into it while it's trying to engrave on it. Once it's auto focused, it is going to take a second to kind of think about what it's got to do. And then you should be able to click start from here. Now you'll see that it does give you a thickness listing right here, so that should be fine. Now from here, go ahead and click start, and it'll take a second, but it's going to process your images, your design, all that stuff, and then it's going to give us a processing time, which usually this is not super accurate, so don't believe it. But from here, just go ahead and click send. It's not going to start your laser, it's just going to send it to your laser. From your laser, you're going to press the blue button on the front, and then we'll watch it engrave. How I'm so lucky to have a place that I can come home to. Yes, I am on my way. We'll put our differences aside and just enjoy this moment of peace and love and happiness. I did speed this up for you guys. This took a total of a little under 2 hours to complete, but I think it was so worth it. It's really, really pretty. But just know, the more detailed your design, the more pieces to your design, the longer that it's going to take to engrave. That's just kind of the nature of working with engraving and with lasers. So just know that some things are going to take quite a while, but really totally worth it in the end. And this is the board all finished. Now you are going to notice a little bit of color variation within the engraving, because when you use bamboo boards, they are kind of pieced together and they have a variation when it comes to their color. And you'll see that really clearly here where the Blackstones is, you can see that it is much lighter. So that's just something you have to keep in mind if you're going to use bamboo, and you can see kind of where that piece of bamboo is that's making it lighter. But I still think this came out really, really cute. And again, check out all the links down below for what I use to seal my boards to make sure that they're going to last longer. And here I am just kind of pointing out that line. If you have any questions, please let me know in those comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. If there's a tutorial you're looking for, please let me know. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.